Let's do a quick audio check. How are we, Josh? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Is it good?
Good.
We both are good?
Check.
You're good.
Okay. So today on Be Honest, we have a very special guest. That's the name of the podcast, Be Honest.
Right.
So you got to be honest.
Oh, good.
I don't think you have a problem doing that.
Not at all.
Jeezy, ladies and gentlemen, joining.
What's happening? What it do?
We're excited that you're here. I immediately just want to talk to you about some conscious stuff. I want you to help me upgrade my mental.
Let's do it.
I know that in the news recently, they've been talking about the University of Missouri.
Right.
A couple of black players got together and said, football players specifically,
Right.
and said, we don't like what's going on campus. We will not play unless the president decides that he gets his act together or resigns, more importantly. And I want to play some sound for you. A man by the name of Sonny Vaccaro. He was the person I don't know if you know this, he was the guy to sign Michael Jordan to his Nike deal, his very first Nike deal. They call him the Soul Man.
Right.
He discovered a lot of players in high school, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, Dwight Howard. He has always been an advocate of the black athlete.
Right.
So I want you to listen to what he had to say regarding this Mizzou situation and the power of black athletes.
Right.
I think the black athletes should understand the value they carry. The problem with some of the athletes, and I witnessed this, is they worry about getting drafted, and if they go against the school colors, they may not get drafted, their coach might not play them, all these things. I think yesterday and this week showed the kids they have the most value to sports as we know it. If they don't have these kids, there's no national television. You think ESPN and CBS are giving billions of dollars for tournaments? It's ridiculous. But the kids just want to be a part of this. Treat them as human beings. Don't tell me about that damn scholarship. But I think the black athlete and all the athletes on all the sports teams, are the most powerful people on campus.
So that was Sonny Vaccaro. He was on the right time with Bomani Jones.
Right.
Your take?
I think he's 1,000% right. I think he's, is if you look at the world, there's only a couple things that make the world go round as far as culture and entertainment. When you think of artists, when you think of basketball players, football players, those are the people that have the most influence, in the community as well as, on campus or at the ESPNs. And me personally, I just think they showed a excellent exhibit of leadership. You know what I mean? Like that would be talked about forever. I think they just opened up a door for when things happen at these institutions and these universities that some of the students will stand. And it'll probably start with the athletes because they're the most popular people on campus anyway. And they got more to lose. So for them to take that initiative and say, hey, look, and that's powerful for them to have the president to resign. He could have been like, I'm going to take a break. Yeah, he could have went on vacation and chilled out. But to actually resign just show you how powerful they are. He sounds very, very passionate about what he's saying.
He has been a leader of the African-American athlete, period, because he says that, especially athletes on the collegiate level, they're being robbed.
Right.
Making millions of dollars off these kids.
Right.
And they can't even eat lunch.
Yeah, and at the same time, even when they put them in the NBA, it just the setup doesn't seem right to me. You give these kids a lot of money and you don't give them any life skills, and they go out there and they play a couple years, but after a couple years and they out of the league, it's kind of.
That's been a huge debate with the unions, the specific unions of the four major sports, especially these kids who go from being poor 1 minute and then instant millionaires. Of course, they're not going to be able to handle their money correctly.
I'm glad for everything I ever been through to, everything I ever earned and lost and got it back again, because it just made me a different person. It's like to have that type of money at one time. I would love to work for that type of money over time and achieve it, by setting some goals and actually, meeting those goals and getting to that point. But to give somebody a check like that without,
I'd be shopping. Everybody.
I mean, it's not only that; it's just everything around you. You know what I mean? Like you have friends, you have family.
You take care of everybody.
You take care of everybody, and not know the difference. What's overdoing it and what's underdoing it, and not only that, that kind of mentally it messes with you. You know what I'm saying?
I feel like the relationship between a lot of hip hop artists, rappers, and athletes, they are incestuous in the sense that you all get along so well. You all end up becoming best friends. And it always is the theory of rappers want to be ballers, ballers want to be rappers.
I've heard that.
Right? And we've seen it.
Right.
Over the years.
Right.
When they get in the studio and you're like, come on, man, get back on the court.
Yeah, you got that check.
Yeah. Stop playing around with our craft.
Right.
I know that we have a mutual friend in common.
Okay.
In Cam Newton.
Oh, yeah.
I told Cam that, and I just sent him this message the other day. I said, go after it and go after it all.
Right.
They have refused, and I don't know who the they is, but you can say whoever the they is, to acknowledge how great an elite he is.
Right.
And week in and week out, he's been doing it, playing like an MVP this year, not having much help, finding the help that he needs, still getting it done. He's setting records.
Right.
But yet when he had came out, there was this Sports Illustrated cover that said Blaine Gabbert, Cam Newton, and there was another, Jake Locker. Oh, tough decision. Make your choice. Well, we already knew what the choice was.
Right.
Why is it that, or do you feel that he gets the respect that he deserves?
Even when we had a conversation and I told him, it was a real conversation. He wants to be up there with the legends, the Tom Brady's and all these different people. And it's just like, it's going to be, 100 times tougher for you. But if you break the barrier, because we've seen a few before him that get close and things happen and they get derailed. But Cam, to me, has always been smart. He's always watched, his surroundings and what he had around him. You know what I mean? And he always talks about being better. And that's what I respect about him. Like every time we have conversations about how much better he could be and how much harder he can train and, how much more film he can watch and, who he thinks is great and he wants to be as great or as greater than them. And I think that takes, a lot within itself. But I just think, whatever happened to him in his last, year or so, I just think he just snapped into it. He's locked in and he's in a pattern and he's in a rhythm and it's going to continue to get better because he's going to continue to get better. Once you get comfortable at doing something, because to me, he came straight out of college and went into the NFL. It's going to take some time.
There's a transition, a learning curve.
It's a bigger thing, different teammates, people that you don't hang out with every night per se. You know what I mean? Go to the club with, you know what I'm saying? Cause
maybe now.
Right, you know what I'm saying? Because it's NFL now, so it's different.
Yeah.
So it's just different. So I think, and it's dope because he's North Carolina, so he's not too far from his family. You know what I mean? Atlanta guy. And I just think that all that together is just giving him a support system. And I just think, he knows he wants to be that guy and he knows what it takes to be that guy. And I think he's executing and displaying that because when I talk to him and see him now,
it's a whole different mentality.
Man, it's like looking, like
I want
you
it
see
all.
the eye of the tiger. It's like, he's focused.
You said something which makes me think of a saying. It's always hard to be the first.
Right.
It just is. You talk about Cam. And if he wants to be the first, it will always be difficult. The world will always be different. Right. For myself, for you were the first. You are always lauded as someone who still kept it real, no matter how successful you became, no matter how everyone appreciated what you had to say. So I posted on Instagram, what's your favorite Jeezy album? Thug Motivation 101. Or whenever you play it, you just watch it. I call it dude rap, but I can get with it. But whenever you play it, you watch it. It is because you watch these ballers, right? These basketball players, these athletes, people in general, there's something about it that speaks to their spirit.
Right.
How are you able to always convey that message? And you know what I'm talking about because you hear it all the time.
I think that with that particular album, I would compare it to what Cam is going through now. It was just like, once I got a taste of it from the mixtapes and saw what it really was and what it really could be, I kind of just locked in, had tunnel vision and blocked everything, out of the way. And I was just focused and it was like nonstop. And I wasn't really doing it for the money. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to be heard and I wanted to be, I wanted to represent, what I felt was, the struggle. And it was like, it wasn't nothing going to derail me from that. Even the chances of penitentiary chances and all the things that I had that was going on around me, it's like I kind of just put it to the side and said, this is what I really am going to do. So when people used to actually come to the studio that thought, they already knew me, like, oh, man, what are you doing? You're rapping. That ain't cool. I'm like, no, this is my life. This is what I was meant to do. And it was the jokes and the giggles and the grins. And, when people started actually, disappearing and going to have to do time and I was coming up and getting on, in that particular album, I just put everything I had, because I was like, this got to be it. If it doesn't happen now, I'm not gonna get it. And I just put everything in it. So I think when people hear in that album is just the determination, you know what I'm saying, and just the focus, and that's when you're working out in the gym, or when you're training or getting ready for a game or a big event. That's what you want to hear. You want to hear somebody else tell you about how focused they was and how determined they was. And I think that's what was special about the album. It was like, I ain't quitting, I ain't stopping, I won't bend, break, or fold. Just know that. You know what I'm saying? And that's what you hear when you hear the album. And I remember when I named it, and it was like, it sounded like a motivational. I was like, yeah, but it's for the thugs, though. You know what I mean? But then when I started seeing, 40,
LeBron, like I listened to it before, and
40-year-old white ladies like, hey, I love your music. I'm just like, whoa. Like, I listen to you in the gym all the time. I'm like,
I love it.
That's when I knew it was real. So it's just like, you don't put a lid on it. Like, you don't put a demographic on motivation. You don't put a demographic on success. You got to kind of just put it out there, and the people who want to, get a piece of it.
So when you're chosen and you don't know that you're chosen, but you feel it. Like you feel that you were born for greatness.
Right.
You felt that?
At times I did. I mean, not in the beginning totally, because it was such an uphill battle, but it was cool though. You know what I mean? It was something I love to do. Kept me out of trouble. Like, the studio is like my sanctuary. If I'm in the studio, I ain't getting in no trouble. You know what I'm saying? I ain't spending no money. You know what I'm saying? I'm doing what I love. So it was good, and that, but it was like when you stepped out of the studio, it's where your real game face had to be on, because there was so many obstacles, especially that came with success, because it was like so much trouble you can get into. Like
what?
Anything. I mean, you doing club appearances, you out, and, anything can happen, you running around with, at the time, I think I moved around with like 100 people at once, you know what I mean? So it's like, I didn't really understand what lawsuits was until I started getting calls from lawyers about something that happened when I left. And I'm like,
what's that do with me?
Right. But it does, because you're the biggest person in the room.
Right.
And I mean, just stuff like just real life stuff that you start just dealing with, and then just didn't understand. It's like when you do music, you kind of get caught in, I should say, like when people just look at it as a stereotype. And I just think, for me, I was always bigger than that stereotype. A lot of those things that rappers did, I did before. So I already had the cars and the houses and the lifestyles. That was already me. So I was trying to look for the next thing. You know what I mean? I wanted to be like, I always just tell my mother I'm going to be a powerful lawyer, a politician. She's like, boy, sit down somewhere. You know what I'm saying? So that was like what I wanted. I wanted to walk in a room in a nice suit and get respect. You know what I mean? I feel like that's something I deserve, because I work like that. But, being an artist and a rapper, it was like the total opposite. So I was just focused on breaking the barrier and breaking the wall down, because I was like, how can't you be both, though? I don't understand that. You
talk about the life that you lived.
Right.
And how I call it code switch. We vacillate. We go back and forth. It is what it is.
Right.
We can't, and that makes us who we are, right?
Right.
And I think that commonality is much more common than not being able to speak to somebody, not being able to understand struggle, not being able to understand how tough it is and difficult it is.
Right.
So and I go back to Thug Motivation, and you said you were so focused and locked in. So that's why you think so many people related to that, because people they were on that same grind. Because life is hard, and everybody's on that grind.
And they saw the success of it. You know what I mean? So it was just like, that's our guy. If you hear somebody speak on something and actually live it out, it becomes real. You can say all these things. You can say all this stuff, and it can never happen. I'm quite sure a lot of people have great albums that have just never been heard. Or we don't believe their story just yet, because we didn't see them struggle a lot. There's a dude that go to the gym I go to in Atlanta, and he's training to be a football. I mean, to play football. And we were just talking, and he was just like, just telling me all the struggle he was going through. Man, I'm here every day. I'm working hard as I can. I'm, all these things. And I'm just like, yo, hold up, man. If you don't have a story to go along with this, it's not gonna matter when you get there. Right. You got to be able to sit down and tell somebody how you struggled to get to where you at, and how you got turned down by so many people, and so many. Because if you don't, you just made it, and then we don't care.
We don't care. I'm not invested.
Right, because I don't know what your story is, and I don't know how that can help me. So Thug Motivation was my story, and it helped other people because it was like, yo, I seen him. I remember when he was, you know what I mean? And they started seeing different things happen, and even the features that was on there, it was bigger than just what a local rapper would get.
They're like, what is this?
Yeah, how you get Jay-Z on your first song, you know what I mean? And that came with a lot because just my being Jay-Z did that song, you know, New York embraced me like one of their own. Like, if you really think about it, I got more songs with Jay-Z than he has with Big. I told him that.
But how'd that happen?
I mean, because we had a great relationship. I just think Jay just saw a lot of me in him, and it was like cool. It was cool. It was organic. It wasn't like forced. You know, he became the president of Def Jam. I was over there at the time, and the people that actually signed me, Kevin Lyles, he left and went to Atlantic, so it was kind of me by myself. So me and Jay just ended up getting like real tight, and it wasn't even based on music. It was just based on life. He'd ask me stuff like, "Yo, so what you think about?" And I would tell him, he'd be like, "Yo, man, you smart." I'm like, "Yeah." I've been around it a little bit, you know what I mean? But that came from being around like a lot of, you know, older souls when I was younger. So I was 15, 16, hanging with people 35, and they asked me my opinion on things, and I give them a real opinion. You know what I'm saying? Oh, they like, hold this little money for me, and they come back around the corner, I give them all their money back without taking anything. They're like, no, man, you're good, you know, and that kind of just built something. So it was like, when you start being around these cats, they got a lot to lose. They look at you like you probably don't got as much as them to lose, but they respect the fact that you know you got a lot to lose.
You talk about wisdom and what you were able to learn from being around old souls.
Right.
Where were you when you wrote My President? Did you write it before?
I'm gonna tell you.
Tell me the story.
Okay, so
we're talking recession.
Recession. So I got the beat. Me and my partner Mailman, we was in my condo, and this was right around the time I was finishing up the recession. And I was like, yo, Barack is going to win. They was like, man, you tripping. There's no way they're going to let this dude be the president. I'm like, man, you got to understand and see what's going on, because I saw what he was doing. It was like grassroots. It was almost like he was out passing out mixtapes or something, because he was touching everybody.
All right, time out. When did you feel, because I was just like your buddy, I was like, he ain't going to win. This is no way. I felt it was special when he gave the speech on race, when he was talking about his preacher.
Absolutely.
I felt at that moment, I was like, it was November, maybe 07. No, it was, I don't know what it was.
I remember the speech.
But you remember the speech, and I was like, oh, this is special. This man is ordained. But I still didn't think he was going to win.
He had so much charisma. You know what I mean? Like, he was so confident about what he was trying to do that there was no way he was going to lose. That's what I saw. And when I went in and I wrote this, I was running around the house singing the song. I had the beat for like 2 days. And I'll never forget, it was like 5 in the morning. I'm running around the house with my president. And I was like, yo, I got it. So I called my man in the living room, and I was singing it to him. He was like, yeah, I need to go lay it back down. So I called my sister. I was like, yo, I need to get in the studio now. So she called me back. She's like, can't get in now. You can get in at 10 a.m. I was like, all right, cool. So I sung the song until 10 a.m. And that's why I say it's the realest thing I never wrote, because by 10 a.m. I had remembered it.
Wow.
And I was trying to hurry up and do it so I could do another song. So I went in and did it. And I played it for a couple people. It's jamming, but he ain't gonna win.
Everybody said that.
Yeah.
Nobody believed.
So what was crazy is I'm sitting over I forget whose house I was over, and we watching the election. And actually, when it was doing the polls and everything, and I'm sitting there, and I had the Lamborghini outside. It was outside, and I walked to the kitchen. And by the time I came back,
was the Lambo blue?
Yes.
Okay.
And by the time I came back, everybody was screaming, like he was screaming, "Oh, he did it! You was right." I was like, so I hopped in the car, got my buddy. We ran around. I drove around the Atlanta streets all night with my doors up, just blowing the horn, playing the song. But I was just like, to me, I just feel like that was something for all of us. Even though when he was in, he couldn't do as much as he wanted to do. But just that being shown, when you was talking about Cam being the first and me being the first and Barack being the first, I just think it takes somebody to break the barrier. So now it's broken.
It's broken.
So
it can happen. Anything's possible.
Yeah,
but it's hard to be the first, and he'll write the book and he'll tell us the story when it's all said and done.
I can only imagine what that book's gonna be like, though, because we'll never know
ever.
Right.
Michelle gonna keep it real though.
Yeah, I like Michelle.
I like her a lot too.
Yeah, I like Michelle.
Are you? And you said something I think is fair. He wasn't going to be able to do everything he wanted to do, and he was going to be blamed for problems that we didn't have. Right?
I think his first term, his hands were tied.
Second term?
They loosened him up a little bit, but it wasn't a lot he can really do.
How do you feel about second term as it wraps?
I feel like he kind of coasting through it. You know, I got to be honest, because once you get to, I feel like from the outside looking, I feel like there was more problems created for him to deal with than the problems that he came in to deal with. Like when he got in there, it just like I'm from South, so I've seen racism, but I never felt it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I started to feel it. You know what I mean? And just with a lot of the things that happened, like, you know, from Trayvon Martin to Mike Brown and all these different things that he couldn't really jump in and have a personal opinion. It was kind of weird because it was just like, you know, they actually, is he the black president? I'm like, but he's everybody's president. So
at the same time.
Right. So
it's such a struggle when you're the first. And I'll speak for myself too. When you're only one of a few doing something,
right,
we have a responsibility.
Right.
Or at least we feel we do, right?
Yeah.
To speak for the African American community, but I'm still a sports anchor, so I still represent everybody.
Right,
I still represent women. You still are an artist. Everyone loves your music.
Right.
You're not just a black artist.
Right.
I felt like he had to walk a fine line and understand where he was more comfortable. I don't know if he was in a win situation at all.
No, because you could tell you went in the win situation because when the movie thing came out about what's my man name over there?
Spike Lee?
No, Korea. Kim
Jong.
Yeah. When the movie came out about Kim and they was doing all the email hacking and you know, and all that stuff and talking about they was going to expose all these secrets, and then they shut the movie down. You remember that? And
yes.
He was just like, the first time they asked him, he was like, I would have never done that. I would have never told him to shut it down. This is America. Why would we back out of that?
Yeah.
Because that makes us look soft. It makes us look weak, and he's the president. He got to speak on that. But if you're on the outside looking in, when the Mike Brown situation happened, it took him so long because he couldn't be personal.
He couldn't keep it real.
And by the way, I don't think I think personally handled it the right way, honestly.
Why?
Because he stayed free and clear, like, because it's like, you know, it's a real issue, but it wasn't like he was gonna come there the next day and just change anything. I don't think he could have stayed there and be like, you know, personal about it. I don't think the whole situation was handled right, but I'm just saying, as a president of the United States, I don't think he should be personally like jumping into things that he feel, okay, this is happening to the black community, I'm the black president, I'm gonna come here and I'm gonna fix it. Because I just think it would have started more problems, honestly.
But what if Mike Brown was white? What if the Charleston 9 were white? Like,
right.
He could have spoke on that and there wouldn't have been any problem, right?
And you're absolutely right. He could have. And that's the double-edged sword when you the first. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, not fair.
Right, it's not fair. But I mean, it ain't supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? Like,
why not?
Because it's life. If everything was fair, everybody be happy, everybody be winning, and we all be good. You wouldn't even be talking right now. All the teams would be winning. Everybody be happy. It ain't fair. It's one champion at the end of the year. You know what I mean? And that's just that. One Super Bowl and somebody wins it and everybody else go home and try it again next year.
And if you want it, you got to go after it.
Right.
Okay, so I know that they probably want you to go. I feel it in my spirit. I feel a rap coming.
Right.
But tell me about your latest project. Wait, this is what? November 11th? So the 13th is coming.
The 13th, yeah.
Okay, so tell me about it.
Church in these streets. Oh, well, I mean, you know, basically the same thing. You talking about being the first. I had a situation happen when I was in L.A. On tour, me and Wiz Khalifa, and incident happened at the venue, and I happened to not be there. I happened to leave after my set, and because I had something else to do in the morning. And they came in the last day of the tour, and they, you know, actually incarcerated me, took me and everybody off my tour bus.
Can you tell me the incident? This is a podcast.
Yeah, actually, somebody was killed at the show. It had nothing to do with none of the artists, but it was near the buses, and I wasn't there. I went back to my hotel. And they came to L.A. This happened in San Francisco, Oakland. They came to L.A. when I was getting there for the last day of the tour. They came and actually incarcerated me and everybody that was on my bus. So not my homeboys, like my employees, like my cameraman, my assistant, my two bus drivers, stuff like that. And, you know, really just, I just feel like, you know, they was really just, you know, singling me out for no reason. So I got a good lawyer. Beat the case. Was really nothing to beat because they did a poor job of investigating. But at the same time, when I was there, you know, life been so fast since I've been moving around for these last couple of years, and it was like for those 6 days I was in there because I could have got out the first day, but I didn't want to leave everybody else in there, so I just kind of stayed back until we all was able to get out. But when I was in there, it just kind of made me like, you know, just angry because of how hard I worked to build myself up to be able to stand in certain rooms and be around certain people. And it was all kind of just pulled away from me for somebody just really being, you know, just having a bad day. And it just made me, you know, just it was just time to think. And when I got out, I just remember being just like angry, like, you know what I mean? Like, I can't just do music to do music, you know what I mean, like I have in the past, because people, oh, you got the club bangers. I'm gonna have those, you know what I mean? But I wanted to make sure I used my voices this time, you know what I'm saying, to relay a real message. You know what I mean? Whether it may be good or bad, you know what I'm saying? But it's a real message, because I felt like that's the only thing that I had that they couldn't take, you know what I mean? Or the only thing that I had that they couldn't.
Your voice.
Right. And it was like, you know, for me being in there, and, you know, I'm well off. So it was like, so for you to be somewhere and be going through some things and explain it to your family, no, I didn't do it this time. I know every other time I did it.
I might
right.
have been kind of innocent.
Right.
Yeah.
But I was all the way, you know, innocent. But what really made me even angrier is when I got out and all the charges was dropped and everything was gone. Nobody came to my defense to say, hey, you know, this guy didn't really do anything. They kind of just left me out there in the water.
Meaning who? Who were you expecting to come to your
Anybody.
defense? Other artists?
No, just meaning the people that put me in that situation.
Oh, yeah.
You know, they kind of just left it out there and left me in the, you know, just to deal with it.
Yeah.
And, you know, that made me mad, because I've been working, you know, all these years to, you know, be that guy that can put on the suit and go with these things. And I've been, you know, and while we're talking about the My President record, I've been to a dinner that Barack Obama invited me to and got there, and the Secret Service told me I can't come in. You know, that's happened. So for me,
did you get to come in eventually?
No,
Side note, are you kidding me?
Never.
That
but he's
smart
though. He's a smart dude, because he shouted me out at the congressional dinner.
Okay.
But he was smart enough to do that. You know,
because he knew.
Yeah, because he knew I was sitting back like, oh, really? So I'm gonna make this song. We in the White House. I can't come hang out with you. You know what I mean? But that being said, I mean, you know, this project is that. You know, it's the good, the bad, the ugly. And the church was something that kept me like grounded. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Something I took very seriously. So I'm not saying I'm Creflo Dollar or nothing like that. I'm saying if you come to
pastor,
no, but if you come to my church, it's gonna be in the streets. And when you come to my shows, it's almost like church. You come in there and people, you know, they rejoice, they're happy, they celebrate. You know, all that goes on. So it's just like, that's what it feels like. So when people be like, you know, they don't come to me at the end of the show like, oh, I love it when you did this song. Mm-hmm. They're like, man, did you realize how you changed my life? I was going through this, and, you know, this wasn't right. And I listen to your music every day, and you know, and that's different than just being somebody who's just making songs. So that's what I want to do, bring church to the streets.
All right, I'm getting the tap. I mean, they want to wrap you. It's time to go. I interview a lot of artists, and you have it, and I'm glad that you're using it.
Already. Appreciate you.
I appreciate you for being on here, you guys. Jeezy, I'll be honest.